to beat in the next years? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think him and Michael are very. I think Rasmus Henning. You know, I think they're very, very good. They've come out of the ITU racing, and you know, I've said it for years. That's where the depth of talent is. When I came across, I was out of the ITU racing, but there's not many guys that can make the transition.
Yeah.
Some of them are, and Andreas has always been. I've always thought of Michael, but I've always thought Andreas, Evan Doherty, these type of guys could jump across Rasmus Henning, but a lot of others can't. And but once you come out of that hard school of racing, you're used to racing around the world. You're used to travel. You're used to a certain level of competition. You become smart, and yeah, they've got all the artillery to win in Kona, because there's two types of athletes that race in Kona. Those that choose to, which are Andreas, myself. We are those that have to, which is Stadler, Brucht, because they can't do short course, and you're a different beast. You know, you're a different beast. You know, it's and the guys that choose to are the ones that can do anything. Rasmus Henning, Dirk Bockel, and the Raelerts, but they're definitely the future. Michael, Andreas, definitely, and to top it off, they're nice guys. They would be phenomenal champions of this sport, I think. They'd be, the sport would be very well received posting as those two guys as poster boys, because they're gentlemen, they're classy, they're competitors, and they're just nice guys.
Yeah. Okay. So they're more sympathetic to you than Norman Stadler, for example.
I think no, but I'm friendly with Norman now. But I always used to get offended and I actually said that to Norman, though, because those guys I'd raced since I was a junior, and they left ITU because they couldn't do it. You know, and then they criticised me for doing it. Then when I came to Ironman, I'm like, hey man, like, I'm pretty good too. You're not the only good guy, but Norman has definitely changed, and I understand the pressures here in Germany, because it's quite a big sport here. You know, and you have such good history with your athletes, especially in the Ironman. Frodeno's now Unger's a world champion, and you know, Vukovic won the silver in Sydney. You have good triathlon history, and you know, and you can get caught up in it here. You know, and you can think you're a little bit better than what you really are. You know, and yeah, so that's where I think the Raelerts are very grounded, very grounded guys. They know it's a tough sport. They know it's a tough game. They know one week you can win, the next week you can't, and they know that they've shared the highs and lows that the World Cup circuit gives you. And you know, you quickly learn that in Ironman racing, especially some of these guys. I used to laugh, like a Norman and Timo, and I'm friendly with these guys. They do four races a year. They'd be like, wow, I used to do 4 races by January. You know, like it's just a different mindset. And, I think as we've got older, my issues with those guys are well and truly behind us. But the Raelerts are class. Class.
Do you have an explanation why always so many good German guys coming up? Is it all about German discipline?
I think you've had great role models. I think you've got to look where your juniors come from, and junior athletes need to be inspired. And you've had great champions. You know, you had Jürgen Zach, you've had Thomas Hellriegel, you've had Rainer Müller. You've always been very, very successful in Europe, and you had great role in Jürgen Zach taking that to Kona and becoming Zach Attack. And you know, for me as an Australian, I watched Jürgen Zach with awe, and then Thomas Hellriegel was an idol of mine. You know, and I think, you know, that you have great role models, and I think you have great races here, and you definitely have a rigid training philosophy that does suit your sport, and yeah, I just think it's role models, it's events, and it's definitely a mindset. You guys are very, you know, it's a perfect sport for you. It's a numbers sport.
That's good. So, are you coming to Germany next July to Frankfurt? Is everything's fixed already? Or?
No, nothing's fixed. I haven't even planned. I'm just to enjoy this year and go home. And decisions on my season next year will center around myself and my wife, and we'll look at events to do. And you know, never say never. I'd like to. You know, I gave Frankfurt a red hot dig in 08 and 09, and this year I came on the bell 5 weeks before I signed the contract, and I was a little underdone. And but it was definitely in my career one of the races I enjoyed winning a lot. And even in 09 when I blew up with an echo, I enjoyed the race very much. It's a beautiful event.
Yeah.
As is Roth, as is many races. But you know, there's a lot of races I'd like to do and win, and that I haven't been able to do because of Kona. And and that's what we'll sit down and talk about when I get home. Whether I take the opportunity to go and win events that I've wanted to win, but I've focused very heavily on Kona for, and maybe give Kona a miss. Well, you never say never, but I don't know yet. I'll sit down with people.
Okay, well, but there's still a chance that you leave out Frankfurt. It's possible that this.
Yeah, it's possible. They haven't approached me yet, and I got an email from Kai saying, and it wasn't really an email. It was like you should think about doing Frankfurt or Italy. That was the email. I was like, okay, you should think of coming to Australia for surfing, you know, like. So it wasn't really hey, you're thinking, and so I think their interest is there, but until I speak to them, I haven't made up my mind on anything yet. No.
So the last 2 years, I think it was two times third. Yeah. So that's in your point of view should be. No,
I think 2009 I was third. Eneko and I had a war and we exploded, both of us, but I think the 2009 race in Frankfurt showed character from both Eneko and I. He wanted to win, I wanted to win, and we both exploded and we both got beaten by Timo. Last year I'm surprised I got third last year, to be honest with you. I had no right to get third. I signed up 5 weeks before. I hadn't done, I wasn't planning on doing an Ironman prior to Kona. And they asked me to come and we talked about it. I talked with Suzanne and I signed it exactly 5 weeks out. So I had 3 weeks of volume. So I played a very tentative role last year, which was on the bike I did nothing. I was apologising to Timo, going, hey man, I ain't doing shit. I'm going to blow up if I do. I haven't got the volume in my legs. So I played a safety race last year and we got towed up by Andreas anyway, but I was content with third. I had a really tough day, just for sheer lack of work. But I like the race. I think it's cool. I enjoy the Frankfurt event. I just like the race, and it's the European Championships, it brings the best Europeans, and I'm glad finally the World Triathlon Corporation are giving it the respect that the race deserves. It's second to Kona now, it's what the race should stand for.
Okay. So, but when you come back to Frankfurt, it's like a feeling of hate, two times third place only. Or
no. I think
I won it already, and it's a good thing.
No, I come to every race. I think that's I come to win. You know, and when you're a winner, you have to be prepared to come last. You know what I mean? Like you have to go for a chance, and I took a chance. And I got beaten by better guys, but that's Ironman racing. You know, it's just the way it works. But you know, I had a conversation last year with a guy who was criticising the way I raced. You went too hard, you pushed too hard on the run. You were in a Necco, and I'm like, dude, I wanted to win, mate. You know, it's easy after the race for you to say you did this wrong or this wrong, but at the time, it's a war. You know, and we were beaten. But yeah, if I come back next year, in any race I do, I race to win. But whenever you race to win, you have to be prepared to lose. You know, and that's why I don't really get nervous before a race. I don't, you know, I get excited and apprehensive, but I actually love the challenge of racing to win. You know, I enjoy that immensely, and.